Hey everybody, Day Trader Rockstar here with a market radar for you going into the first week. What is this? Second week of May 8th. It's the week of May 8th. It is a Friday evening, and I'm just finishing up the watch list for the members of Day Trading Radio, going over some great stocks for next week. But I always like to put out a little update on the overall market. Now, I just want to remind those out there maybe seeing this video, I'm going to make an effort to try to start the show even earlier. Now, normally I'm in here between 7:30 and 7:45 in the morning. We catch these pre-market poppers, and these have been big gainers for us. And what a couple things I wanted to let you know is if you're available to trade early morning hours, then reach out to me. Tell me, I need some dedicated traders to be motivated enough to get in and get up early, especially the members of the site, because I know a lot of the U.S. traders here, getting in at 6 o'clock is a little early, but it's where a lot of the money can be made. Now, of course, the 7:30, if we start at 7:30 and go to 9:30, 10 o'clock, the pre-market session, you can see these areas that we see. That today was actually NBT. What we do to come in is, look at the group of stocks that are showing up on the special scanner that I have set up. And the pre-market starts at 4 o'clock, and between 4 o'clock and pretty much 9:30 open, or a little bit after, we have a lot of activity in the markets. And that's where you want to go. You want to go where the activity is. That is important for you. If you're in here, you're going to be a trader, a day trader, a more aggressive trader, then you have to go where the opportunities are. If you're going to be an investor or more of a long-term holder, then you could just stick to the HPS setup, taking the triggers, waiting, and not having that rush or time frame. You don't need to be in early in the morning, but that's a decision you have to make. And I'll just let you know that I'm willing to do it with you and get you into these positions, because there are some fantastic positions. All right. So let me know if anybody's out there for the pre-market opportunities. Looking to start earlier, but I want to get some feedback on that, and I want to get enough members involved in that before sacrificing my own time and energy to do that. But that is where some of the biggest money to be made is. I won't go into these. Let's just jump into the SPX here. That's what we're here for. Market radar. This is an incredible chart here. Starting this week, we followed this channel. This is on the 5-minute chart. Look at this channel line. We started identifying these levels. Well, a lot of these levels are already here. Every single line on this thing is pretty much a good line. This is probably top trend line. I don't need this in here. I get rid of this. All right, let's get rid of this. I will put this one over here and extend that out a little, just to kind of see where it goes. But normally I'm not using this one, but we're just watching it for now. All right, so what we got here, this is going out for like May, going out to the whole month of April. The important levels we want to go out to is on the 60-minute time frame. And you can see this big red line, this red line underneath. This is the important lines here. So this red line right now, I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. There we go. Is our huge pattern. It's a pivot here, pivot here, pivot here. That's a 1, 2, 3 pattern, but we really confirmed it here and here, broke down through it on some news. And whenever you break down on something on news and it comes back and retests it, that confirms the integrity of the trend line. So you have a possible trend line here. Might have been a parallel trend line. Oh, it goes back to here. It might have been in a little. There's really these things. I throw them in there. The bigger ones are really longer term, but you could, if you come around that level and you start bouncing and retesting it, you have to understand that that is a good trend line. So you start to pay attention to it. We hit it here again. We gapped up to it, chopped around it, then came back, hit it here, held it, and then we had some news that broke us down, and then we came back up, and then look at this. We touched it here. We came back down. We touched it just about here, and then here again. And now we're heading back up to it. So going into next week, we had a big rally. The market's been, we started off on the daily. The last 3-4 days, well, actually, Friday, today, we had a big reversal. Call it the bangs, call it whatever. A little relief. But before that, these 3 big dark candles are really some banking issues going on, overhanging the markets. And when the news is out like that and you have to sell in, it's going to pull back most of our stocks. It's going to pull back a lot. It's going to make things unclear. We don't know if there's another bank. I mean, you watch the news, you think the world is ending. So at these times, it's very difficult. You have to, say, well, we're going to have to see how this comes. The majority of the time, it's usually overshoot, more hype than anything. And maybe that was happening this time, and they're talking about short sellers and the market being manipulated. It's just all kinds of news out there about the market manipulation these days. But nevertheless, we had a big bounce. So this underlying trend line, and then we're going to go to the 60-minute time frame here. I think you'll see a little bit better here. That candle came up to it. We chopped around it here. We chopped around it here. We broke down through it, and we came back up to it. And this could be this trend line could be adjusted up or down in a bit, but that's our target right up here. My target here in that 4150 to 4160, 10-point profit. I mean, we're almost there. So we talked about it today on the air during Market Munchies when I was taking over for lunch for Paul. When Paul was doing the broadcast, I jumped on. We talked about this level going into next week, and if we ended up gapping up there, anytime we gap up to a trend line, that's a really significant move, and I'd like to short into that. So I don't know how we're going to start off on Monday. The 60-minute time frame had a nice rally, had a nice breakout. Everything's looking good. It looks like a little bit further upside as possible. We don't know what type of news is going to come out over the weekend. That is the only thing that could really surprise us, news. The big picture on both sides. It looks like there's some space down here. We talked about, are we going to get back to the lows? I think the worst case scenario would be down at that 3,600 level. I don't think we're going to get back to the October lows. Now that we've gotten through some more time, this was back over here. We got up off of that. I would say now, of course, you're going to be watching retracement trend lines way before this level. And if the market did continue to break down or reversed and took out this pivot low here, because this is a nice pivot, and if it reversed and took out that pivot low, that would be very negative. And you would have to start looking at probably this trend line here, or a retracement to it, wherever that comes in. But right now, I'm slightly bullish. The daily stochastic starting to turn back up. Monday, if we get any relief from the banks, we could still see that upside. The weekly's embedded, and the market's just biding time here. And I don't mean that as in, excuse the pun, but it's Joe Biden time. It's waiting for Biden and, whatever's going on here with the administration to fix things. And from that point on, maybe the market's going to decide to get into a groove here. But right now, we've been really choppy. Last 2 years, it's been a very frustrating market for portfolio long-term swing traders. It's been good for day traders. It's always good for day traders if you're in the right spot. It's not, and I feel like we're in tune with the markets. I don't mind the chop going on here. I don't mind the chop because it's easy enough to take the short-term setups, and the 60-minute time frame is looking great. I think next week will be pretty easy to tell what's gonna happen if there's any news out there that's affecting this market, and we see the reaction. Or at one point, we're gonna see a bank failure, and someone mentioned this in the chat room today. We're going to see a bank failure, and the market's going to rally on it, meaning it's not going to have any type of effect, and that's really going to be a big buy signal in the markets. It makes a lot of sense, because it's almost like cry wolf. There's so many banks here saying they're about to go under. They're losing a lot of market cap. They're losing confidence. We don't know one day to the next if someone's going to announce something. It really is, the market's on pins and needles right now, and that's why we're getting such big swings. Up, down, up, back up here. I like it to the upside next week. I'm more of an optimist overall, but if there's any banking news, all bets are off the table. I like the strength. Overall targets right now. This is an important trend line if we ever get up to it. I stand clear, I stand by these trend lines. The overhead target right now, the rising trend line, which is about 10 to 12 points ahead of us. And then after that, we have recent highs, of course, at 4,200. So it's at 41.36. We could get up to 41.50 area. That's going to be our area of resistance. And then we have another 50 points to get to the big whole number of 4,200. And then from that point on, we get through that, things that might be changing, because that's a kind of a clear breakout. 4,200 is pretty clear breakout of going out to last year almost. I'd say 8 months. So 4,200 definitely. And again, this is Market Radar. We put this out once a week, so next week we might have a different setup. But right now, going into early next week, things look bullish unless there is news. All right, unless there is news, things look bullish, and I'm happy about that. Don't forget to join me each and every day, 7:30. For now, I'm trying to get in there earlier, but I need some people to to show up, to be able to get in and on the site. And it works when we all work together. I bring up these setups, we all work together, we determine the floats, the news, everything that goes on, pre-market poppers that we're talking about. So maybe we'll see you earlier, but definitely by 7:30 on Monday. And don't forget daytradingradio.com. You want to get all the alerts of all our trades, all the research, everything out there. Head over to daytradingradio.com and sign up for a membership. Have a good evening. And it kept it under 12 minutes. That's pretty good. Oh, and happy Cinco de Mayo.